All right, let's just bring these guys in it. Let's just get right to it. Mr. Jarrett, Mr. Ra, Mr. Izzy. Let's go, fellas. How's it going? Have you seen the trailer for that Michael B. Jordan movie? His new movie coming out, Without
Yes.
Remorse. That
Yep.
looks
I gotta say,
filthy.
I haven't
That
seen
looks
that yet.
filthy. Maybe if we have time,
I
I'll
say,
watch that.
can't
I'll
wait.
play it tonight and say it looks dope, man.
Is that
It,
going to be on
is,
Max?
it is a typical revenge movie, like special ops. Something went wrong, and
Right.
something like family revenge type of thing. So it's like a typical that type of story. But a black guy is the lead this time.
It looks good. It
Yeah.
looks real good.
So he can't die,
I hope not.
right?
Not only that, they made him like the stuff you see him doing in the trailer. If he dies,
It's like an insulation, right?
God.
watch the movie start out with like he's dead and he's just like recounting the
Poof.
story right before he
Anyway,
dies.
they do the Metal Gear Solid 2 thing.
Yeah, basically. But speaking of dying, I'm glad Caesar died. I'm happy.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I guess yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
Yes. It made him that legend.
It makes sense.
It put him there.
Yeah, he couldn't just keep going. Like,
He had so
especially everything he went through.
yeah.
All right, so
I have a lot to say.
yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Woo!
All right, so
The levels on this movie was ridiculous to me. Oh,
all right, so we'll start it out. Initial thoughts, Jarrett. We'll go with you first.
So I'm going to give you a brief history of how I saw these movies really quick.
Do it. This is your pick. Do it.
The first one, I was excited. I saw it in the theater because it was a blockbuster and it was a return to a science fiction series that I liked. And I came out going, that was cool. I like that. But I did not like it enough. I was like, the CG somehow was terrible and awesome at the same time. In the first
In this one?
In the first one.
Oh, okay.
And but I wasn't like inspired to go see the second one in the theater. I think I caught it on video because I wasn't pumped about it. And then I was like, oh, okay, we're going somewhere cool with this. I like the second one a lot. And the third one I saw in the theater. And from the opening logo, you know, when they changed the logo, you're in for something special.
Yeah.
And they had the tribal drum beats, the monkey beats, instead of the brum bum bum in the 20th century.
Right.
And the whole time I was just like, please don't do something stupid. Don't do something stupid because this is like you can just tell. I could tell I was loving it the whole time. And
so
it made the other movies better. It made me go back and appreciate the other ones more. And now it's like a whole story. Of course, the third one's the best to me, but.
So basically, you like the evolution of Planet of the Apes?
I guess so.
Pun.
Yep. I love it. As you guys are, as you already knew. You think I got in here like, suck, dude, sucks. They ruined it.
Okay.
As soon as I got rid of Franco, it was over.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, Raw.
Yeah.
What were your initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts.
My
So,
Batista.
thoughts as I'm so I am very animated when I watch a movie. My nephews hate when they watch a movie with me because I'm so animated. I get into it if it's a good movie. Like I talk. I'm a talker through a movie. I'm sorry if I'm at a theater and my wife had to hold my arm on my leg, like, babe, shut the hell up. You know what I'm saying? Because I like to react, and I think that's what movies are for. It's for you to react to a scene or to something that you stumble onto, and you like go like this, or you go like this, or like that, or your eyes water up on a scene that is supposed to water up. Oh my God. You want to talk about the perfect ratio when it comes to comedy, when it comes to seriousness of the film, when it comes to cinematography in a sense of being in a natural element as far as the woods and stuff like that. Writing. I mean, I can go on everything that was perfect about this film. Now there were some things that I was like, okay, like, you know, but then again, ultimately this film was beyond. I'm mind blown on how well this was written because it followed it followed a good story. It was a great ending to a story, but it was the beginning to something new. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't quite end. You know what I mean? But what ended was good, the good and the bad, right? We're gonna talk about Cobra. I'm gonna bring up Cobra later on, and then Caesar as far as being the good, but both had to die. They had to die in this film so that everybody can live on and be themselves on who they want to be as far as being free. But I don't want to get too in depth on what I'm trying to say. But all I'm saying is ultimately this movie was fantastic. And my brother is the one that put me on to Planet of the Apes in the first, or not Planet of the Apes, but was it not Don? What was the first one?
Oh,
Rise.
Rise.
Right, Planet of the Apes. So my brother's the one that said, "Dude, you have to watch this." He said, "Caesar, oh my God, Caesar!" So that was the reason why I watched it in the first place. I was disinterested in the whole scenario or the whole theme of Rise of Planet of the Apes, whatever. I was done with that whole thing. I didn't think they're going to do anything with it. To my surprise, I'm glad that you brought this up, Jared. That's it.
What up, Z?
Okay, first impressions. I think right away I was struck with kind of how much like Matt Reeves can feel like Kubrick when he's at his best. That was my first impression. A lot of the shots that stood out to me as being magnificent and 10 out of 10 you could put them side by side with Kubrick at his best. I think when it came to framing,
it's a big monument, right? It's got the monkeys. It just needs a monument.
Well, no, it's more than that. It's the way he frames people in an empty space.
No, I'm joking.
He weaponizes that in this movie a few times, and it was good. I like that. But as far as like the story goes, I remember I kind of was bummed out again that like they didn't just stick to the original story where humans nuked each other and there was no virus, and that like that's why apes rose, was because they were the next sentient species and we wiped each other off the face of the earth because we suck and we're warlike. I really missed that being the reason it happened. I really hated that it was a virus that made apes smarter and humans dumber. Like, and I'm not saying that that's like a dock against the movie because it's not trying to stick to the original thing, but it was one of my first impressions was I was like, man, this would still be so cool if that's why the apes had risen over time and generations, but there were still some really stupid warlike people left around. I just always liked the original plot. But that felt fine, I guess, because it was only like, what, 30 years since the original thing in this one. You can't have like a generational jump of like evolution happening or adaptation. You have to have a fast one, which requires of something like a virus, right? So
I thought it said 15 years later in the beginning.
In this one, 15 years from the last one, which the last one was at least 10 years from when they had seen no humans. Like, so that's at least, I mean, it's way more than 25 years. It's more than 25 years because when they say it's been 10 years since we've seen the last human, they weren't saying it's been 10 years since we crossed the bridge. By a long shot, they weren't saying that. They had already aged a lot. So I would guess that this movie happens almost 40, 45 years after they cross the bridge.
Because Caesar had gray hair.
They have a timeline. They say
they have a timeline.
This movie happened in 2028, which I'm assuming that they're going from the first movie happening in the date when it was actually current. Yeah. So it's at least 25 years from when they crossed the bridge, but that's not what they make you think. Yeah. It makes
when they say it's been 10 years since we've seen the last human and everything's overgrown, that's longer than 10 years, since they crossed the bridge. So add that to the 15 from here. That's more than 25. And I mean, quite a bit more for things to be overgrown and them to have not seen any humans at all. Like to be like, wow, there's like nobody left, like an entire pandemic to wipe across the globe, kill everybody, see who's, left alive, see who's looking for cities, who's genetically immune, who's going to like run power. That's like more than 10 years, like from the first one. So we've got a good span of time, but it's still quick. It's too quick for like evolution to happen correctly. Right. So they had to abandon that story if they're going to do it that way. But that still bums me out. I think that's a better story. Humans killing each other and apes rising and then some humans being left and being like, wait a sec, and like trying to take it back maybe. But I don't know. I guess it's more topical now because of the pandemic, right? That makes it easier to talk about and stuff. But those are my initial thoughts, though, is that he looks like Kubrick at his best, and that I kind of wish we had just nuked each other, and that's what was going on in the story. But I'll get more into the detail of my likes and dislikes, though.
Was it in the original one? Is that what happened? They nuked each other?
That's what he says. They blew it all to hell. It was definitely a '60s nuke fear film. It was definitely a fear film.
Unlike the
It was.
original Apes movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're-
That was the
they're-
story, and it was amazing that he went basically so far into the future on Earth and didn't know it. That was the twist. And then he's like, "Oh, they nuked each other, and the apes
how
lived."
did the apes get smart?
The time, evolution. It was that far.
Okay.
It was that much time had passed. That's how
Yeah, it
far
was
into the
like-
future he went.
It was like partially
pre-
radiation, partially evolution type of thing.
There was a radiation thing because in later ones there were humans living underground that were like all
Yeah.
like
But it was partially
But they had
radiation,
regressed.
partially evolution.
they were
because,
mutants or something.
They weren't smart. Yeah, they weren't smart or anything. The humans were not the dominant species. We had our chance. We failed, and the next in line stepped up.
well, the whole thing is a circle, right? Because we evolved from apes. That was the whole thing back then. We evolved from apes, so everything is
I
looping
wish
around.
we nuked each other. Yeah.
Yeah, so everything is looping around again to re-evolve again to people or apes become human.
Hello, Phil.
So, but anyway, that was the original. I did not really like the original, but this one I have my own take on this. So I can't wait to battle against Izzy on this one.
Hey, Unfiltered. How you doing?
I would say so. My initial thoughts on it. Yeah, man. I mean, I watched it again. I was like, man, I don't know if like watching it in 4K like enhanced how much I liked it, but I noticed so much more detail this time when I watched it than I did before. There was only two things in it really that bothered me that I kind of like got annoyed at. But other than that, yeah, I liked it, man. I love the story. I like the emotion of it. It was like real emotional. I obviously love the visuals, the camera work. I love the opening, like when they're going up that grass hill and the mountains, and like the stories like coming up on the screen. I thought that was so well done. Kind of remind me of Blade Runner 2049. I don't know if you guys have seen that. That's how they opened Blade Runner. But yeah, it was good, man. I mean, I do like that Caesar died at the end.
Spoilers.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, it's your
Too
own
late.
fault. This movie came out like 6 years ago.
Is it that
I think
old
that's it.
now? That's
I think so.
funny.
I think it came out like at least 5 or 6 years ago.
Crap.
Did it?
Yeah, I think so. I have to look up the date for it.
Somebody's gonna get it on there before me.
Oh, totally. The chat's usually calling this shit.
Cinema.
2017.
Yeah.
2017. Yeah. Yeah. That's so for me. That's my initial thoughts. So, Jared, we'll start with you again. Likes.
We're doing likes. Okay.
I'll be right
Everything.
back. Let me get my food.
Everything.
This is
I
a
love
perfect movie. To Jared.
I love the biblical allegory. I love some of the visuals. For some reason, bringing in a human girl, and having her traveling with the apes is just such a cool idea to me. Like, it reminds me of Aliens when they add Newt. You know, it gives it like this extra emotion.
Except for if Newt was one of the face huggers. That's how it would actually correlate to this film, because it was the other race.
Well, that's true. I'm saying that a child element, you know, that you can like. This was mute Newt. Yes, good take.
Oh boy. Okay.
Anyways, been working on that one for a while.
Mute Newt. That's so bad.
Anyways, the heart and emotion in it, the acting, like Andy Serkis is just a freaking genius. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll get into other stuff later.
I mean, this is the like section. You're not coming back.
As long as you want.
Like, what made you think this film was 10 times better than the last one?
It's just, I think mainly just the way it was shot and just the whole vibe and feel, like from the very, like after the whole emblem thing, like David said, the soldiers like going in with the things written on the back of their head, like Bonzo.
It's time for Bonzo.
It's time for Bonzo and the Apes Monkey. I love the fact that a lot of the characters had an arc. I just found out that the gorilla at the end who has the turnaround. I love that kind of thing, the redemption. You know, his name is Red. I didn't realize that till I looked it up, and I guess there's a book that somebody wrote that's in between Dawn and this one and tells his whole story. How he was originally a follower of Koba, and him and this other gorilla kind of had a war. They acted like Caesar was dead again, which is weird. And so that would probably even add more to his character. I might actually read that.
I didn't even know there was a book.
I didn't either. I'm looking at his whole bio because I'm trying to get his name, and it says something about War of the Planet of the Apes, like Revelations or something like that. And it got really good reviews.
To your comment, Jared, about the backstory, I wish they would have brought out more conflict. Like at least I wish they would have had more of a conflicting scene with him, rather than being basically at the end. For him to have that conflict, I wish he would have had that conflict more and more. He had maybe one other scene to where he was looking, but it didn't really. I didn't really feel like he was like, dang, am I in like? Did I make the wrong mistake, or did I? You know what I'm saying? Like something.
It felt like that Vader moment to me when he's looking back and forth at the Emperor, shocking Luke back and forth. That's kind of what he's doing. He's seen
his just like mowing down and apes with the ammo that he loaded.
And they're
that's a little
names.
A little much for him.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought that was well done. I love it when like even the side characters have their little arcs. And yeah, it could have been fleshed out more, but that takes like another movie.
It could have. You snip one scene that was too long because there was some scenes I thought that could have been cut a little bit shorter, and you just add some little stuff for him. You know what I mean?
Or make the movie longer.
No, I'm saying like cut some scenes that did not need to be as long.
Yeah.
You add minutes for him specifically to add more depth to that character because he ended up playing a pinnacle part in that movie, like real pinnacle, survival of the apes. You know what I mean?
It's cool though that it makes you want to know more, you know, and do research. And I'm glad it's out there. I might read that.
I love when movies do that.
Yeah,
like when they add like little stuff outside of the movie to like make like to get you more into it. I love when movies do that.
Yeah,
I also like adore Maurice.
Oh,
it makes so much sense to me that a woman plays him because the like compassion that he shows in his face. Like I don't think a man could like properly represent that as well as a woman.
Right.
I found out too that it's kind of weird. I guess Maurice was the name of the actor that played the orangutan.
Yeah,
the original Planet of the Apes, like the name of the actor.
Yeah. I think I remember hearing that.
Well, back to him, something Maurice.
Yeah, Maurice. It was just Maurice.
No, the actor who played the orangutan was
in the old movies.
In the old movies.
Oh, the actual.
That's why they named him Maurice in this movie. Is a tribute.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's kind of weird. Well, I'll get into other stuff later. Okay, so yeah, that's like details are more later. So.
Okay. All right, Raheem.
So, I'm definitely need more time to ruminate on everything, but
is that a word?
Let me
ruminate. Yeah.
Let me try to think.
I like percolate.
To give me my likes. I'm gonna try to go from the beginning all the way to the end of what I liked. Okay, I'm gonna try. I liked specifically later. So in the opening scene, I'm talking about after the story popped up. The story what happened pops up because I honestly didn't really like that, but the opening scene, right, as they're going, basically they're kind of showing a scene to where it's kind of like a realism war type of aspect to where they're in Vietnam or some type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? With were doing. So just that part. The awesome part is when they showed apes working in cahoots with the humans, right? But when I seen it,
That was
and
nasty.
seen,
First time they show that.
huh?
So that was nasty. First time they show that, like
Yeah,
right in the
when they
opening.
showed that. And I was
First
like,
act.
what the heck is going on? But when they showed Donkey
Makes sense though.
Mhm.
on the back of one of the apes, I
Yeah.
said, oh my God. I said, this is gonna be nasty. This is gonna be nasty. You know what I'm saying? And then my mind started before I even got to the part to where they explained what's going on. My mind was like, okay, what could convince these apes? And me, I'm Mr. Positive. I'm thinking positively at first, you know. But what could these apes be doing, working with the humans in war, in battle against the other apes? You know what I'm saying? So that was the thing that stuck out to me. It was like a wow factor. Like, wow, like this completely took me off guard on how they went in with that part. Okay. The humanization that they made and connection that they made with the apes and the humans, right? So that was another thing. I'm gonna get into more detail later, but that was another thing that I liked was the humanization. Because at the end of the day, what is humanity? What is the definition of humanity? What makes us human? So that's the part that I love and it stuck out to me the most. And I'm gonna touch on this thing that Jared touched on with the little girl. I'm gonna touch on that because that has a big part on humanity. The other thing, Caesar, man, that actor, what the hell's his name again? I'm sorry,
Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
Andy Serkis. He did not.
It's
win an
crazy.
award.
It's crazy. He's never won an Oscar
for this?
in anything. He plays a lot of iconic roles. The sad part is he plays a lot of voiceover roles. So I guess that's why he hasn't got one. But I think he's a great actor. What's up, Naveen?
Like to bring out emotion is hard enough on film as a regular human, but to do it in a form of CGI and you felt the character in CGI, I was blown away.
You know he plays Gollum, right?
Huh?
Your favorite trilogy.
Gollum in Lord of the Rings.
Oh God.
Have you ever
That's
seen?
Andy Serkis.
I don't know how much
That's
of those scenes. I don't know how much of those scenes you've seen, Reem.
I know.
But
I know it's him. I know.
he's going back and forth between being good and bad, and it's like we should just watch those scenes. There you go, pushing.
So, as I was saying, just bringing out the emotion and you really gather who Caesar is and what he was always about and what he became about and how he became a martyr at the very end. It was a lot of I can just go on for days about this, but it was a certain part in that movie, and this is the part I hate the fact that I didn't get a chance to really ruminate on it because I'm gonna watch it again on my own just to get more out of it. But it was a part in the movie to where he recognized somebody who's it's almost as if he can sniff a rat because he recognized that. You know what I'm saying? But just that.
Well, it's the second time around now.
Yeah, and then he sat on it. Okay, so I'm gonna give you one, Izzy. I'm jumping around, but I'm gonna give you one. Koba was right.
He did end up being right. I mean,
Koba was right. So
He was totally right, dude.
you called it on the second one, bro.
He was ahead of the curve, and everyone got mad at him for it. And he got sick of not getting listened to.
But I think even more so, Caesar hated himself because he knew that Koba was right at the end of the day. He knew.
Well, yeah, he even admits that he identifies with him.
Yep.
It's one of his last speaking lines.
Yep. So I'm gonna end it right there as far as because I can keep walking on my likes, but this movie was so OP to me. So OP. I'm done. I can talk for hours.
I'm not saying he did nothing wrong. Do not misquote me. How dare you? That's so funny.
All right. Likes, Izzy.
Okay, so this is probably the best thing that Matt Reeves will ever direct. This feels like Dark Knight Rises did to me cinematically. As far not it didn't look like it, but I mean, it felt like you kind of knew when you saw it. You're like, oh, this is probably the best work Nolan ever do with a camera, even if it's not your favorite movie of his. Like it just kind of like was obvious that this
You
is
see
probably the
now
best
what I
work.
said last week? Why I said last week that he was kind of picking up his stride.
Yeah, you said he was finding his legs, and I was like, I feel
Yeah,
like
right.
Copperfield was him finding his legs, but yeah, yes, or even like Under Siege 2 was like still him finding his legs, but yeah, yes, I mean this is I don't think he'll ever shoot a better film than this, even if the film itself is a better film, if that makes sense. I think this is he got to I think the movie before this was received well enough critically that he was allowed to just do what he wanted. I don't feel when I just off the top of my head when I watched it just now, I didn't feel. You know how you can feel sometimes when a studio is like fighting the director,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like Civil War is a really good example of that. When you like, I mean, I feel like I accidentally called it that. I was like, wow, this cabin scene is such trash, and like, why is it here? And then I read that whole article about how
You mean Age of Ultron?
Is Age of Ultron? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that movie's a mess, and you can tell it's because Whedon and the studio were fighting the whole time.
I hated it. I agree.
Right? I didn't hate it. It was. There was
it.
stuff that didn't need to be there that made no sense in the film. It was just shoehorned in, and it was either the director was forcing their opinion on the studio, or the studio was forcing their opinion on the director, and that just kept happening. And you could tell it didn't. It wasn't elegant, and this movie felt like one long uninterrupted stream. Like that was really nice. That was one thing I did like about it. I really liked the stark framing. There's a lot of stark framing in this film, and I wish that the last film had more of it.
Yeah.
Because it lends gravitas to some of the things that were going on that were actually quite mundane. Like there was a lot of conversations that seemed more intense than they actually were. Like when I think back now, but it was because of the way they were framed.
Yeah.
They'll either give you claustrophobia or you'll feel really tiny because the landscape is so big. Pacing was good. I think the pacing in the last movie was better, but I would still say that the pacing in this movie is good. I liked that there was more signing. But it's also that'll fall into one of my dislikes too later. I'm torn on the signing, but like I initially liked that it was there. And I really, really, really liked two factions of humans that both hated apes wanted to just tear each other apart over a small ideological difference. That was finally something believable from the human end of the films, because almost nothing else was to me. Like it all seemed like cartoon characters. And it was like it finally painted an accurate picture of humanity when it's against the ropes.
Yeah.
Right. They really did. And like I really think in the last two movies we were just reduced to stupid villains. And I was like, oh, that's kind of not. I mean, actually, there's even actually more depth in the last movie as far as that goes, with the camp of good people, and then the one guy brought the gun and screwed everything up in the last film. There wasn't. I was kind of concerned that we were just going to be portrayed in this film as Woody Harrelson on repeat, right? That's kind of how the movie was headed, and that was tough for me because I wasn't really invested in the apes either. They're like a genetic accident, so I didn't have any like investment, but I also didn't have any investment in the movie's portrayal of humans either. So I felt alone. But I liked at the end when you get two camps of humans that are both equally trashy just start wiping each other out, and I'm like, oh, this is almost like a weirdo homage to the original story about how humans wipe.
You can't take that as just their way of showing that they blew it all to hell.
That's what I was just saying. That seems like a nod to that, but it's not that. Not by any stretch. It's definitely a nod to it, but it's more of like a cute footnote at the end of the movie right before the credits roll. It definitely wasn't like a huge plot point. You know what I mean? But I did like it. I thought that was cool.
I kind of felt like that whole thing was just going on all over the world. Like all those, they're just taking each other out for different reasons.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I kind of put the two and two together in that way. Just We just saw that part, but that's kind of what's been going on.
The impression I was left with was that was like there's like still almost no humanity left. Like that might be the last of it. Like that's almost the impression I got was like the people that survived were, hey Joe Mama, what up? Just being militarized and used to defeat the apes.
I do agree with you, Izzy, in a sense, but I also disagree with you in another sense.
What up, Joe?
But we'll go back around to that. But
all right,
do you have any more likes, or is it?
No, I can stop right there.
Okay.
I want to hear what Dave's got to say.
All right. So likes. First off, for sure, the visuals, man. I'm a big visual guy, and like the CGI was just like, my God, the CGI was just like perfect, especially like the close-up shots. All the close-up shots of like Maurice when he was talking to the girl, you could see like every thread of hair, like on it, and like I remember one shot. There's a couple shots in particular. I was like, is that a real like? I wonder if they use like part fur, part CGI on it, because there's two shots. There was one right after the beginning of that little battle they had in the beginning, and Caesar had like the 3 or 4 human gods, and he had that one gorilla that used to fight for Koba or whatever. And there's a shot where like the camera's behind Caesar, and he's like looking down on it, and like the fur just looks so real on that gorilla, like in that shot. I was like, that can't be CGI. Like they must have used like for some of that must have been costumes because it looks so real. And then like the shot where the little girl's holding on the back of Maurice, like when she's on the horse, and she's like got her face against his fur, and I'm like, if that's CGI, like this movie should have won awards for that because it looks so real.
Yeah.
And I remember there was another shot in the snow where they found the 3 guys or whatever, like that shot themselves or whatever they were doing in the snow. And like I just remember, like, I don't know if it's because I watched it in 4K, but like I could see like the hairs on Caesar's lip. I just remember I was just like, wow, it's like it's so defined. I was like, it's so like the CGI was just so clean. I love the way it's shot too. Like I love the camera angles of it. I love the way it was shot. I loved all the like the wide. I'm a sucker for wide pan shots. Like anything that makes it like you can see how epic and big a scale something is. Like I'm a huge fan of that. That's why I like Denise Villanueva so much. And I love the story of it, man. I love the story. I liked all the I like symbolism in movies. I liked all the Moses symbolism they had, of him like leading all the apes to the promised land, and then he died.
It was definitely an Exodus moment, yes, when they all the rocks and everything.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, and I like the emotion of it, man. It's like it's wild how like I don't know, like I feel like the apes were more human emotionally wise, like in this one than the last one. Mm-hmm. And like I don't know, it didn't bother me in this one for some reason. Like I felt for them, which was crazy. So let me think what else. I liked Woody Harrelson's character. Mm-hmm. I like that he was kind of like I don't know, I just liked how evil he was. Yeah. I thought he played pretty good. He played a good antagonist. I liked how evil he was. I'm trying to think what else. I thought there was something else I really liked in it. I can't remember. I like the score a lot. I thought the score was really good.
Yes.
The score is really good.
So good.
I don't know. There's just like there's so many shots, like just like so many framed and like camera shots in it. I like so much. Like when the soldiers first got to Caesar's place, like where they killed his wife and his kid. He dies. Shut up, Joe's seen it already. He's joking. And like you see the green lasers coming out the guys' guns like in the dark, and they're pointing all over. Like it just looked like little things like that. It just looks so good. It looks so good. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for my likes. All right.
Dislikes.
That was the fun part. You are up, Mr.
Pillow fight.
Mr. Jarrett.
I should have added the score. That is a huge part of the movie to me.
Yeah, the score was amazing.
That was a turning point.
It's great when you sit through the end credits Not because you think there's going to be a teaser at the end, but because you just want to hear the music.
Yeah, right.
I didn't because I was rushing to get here.
Okay, so I do have one thing that I can pull out that I wasn't a big fan of, and it's funny, you guys have already touched on it. David, you said you liked Woody Harrelson. Izzy, you said cartoon character-ish. I don't know if you mean him in specific.
I didn't mean him specifically, but yeah, just like the way humans are portrayed felt like cartoon characters until this movie.
Like, I felt like he kind of missed the scope of the movie, the type of movie he was in.
No, I gotta grab my. It's all here.
Like I think he just thought, oh, I'm gonna be a villain in a sci-fi movie, and I get to chew the scenery a little bit. Like that whole so emotional stuff. That was like that took me out of the movie for a minute. I'm like, I think that he just, I don't know, just overplayed it a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not a huge Woody Harrelson fan. He's okay.
Blasphemy!
I like him, but I don't. I'm not going to just say I love everything that he does.
I agree with that.
I just feel like he missed the mark. It felt like somebody that was. I bet some of that stuff is improvised. Like, I don't understand this so emotional. Like, I don't even see. Maybe you guys can explain to me exactly why he was saying that. Like, I don't get the connection.
He lost his ish. He killed his own son, bro.
Yeah.
That's not
his wife and his son. Oh no, you're talking about Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson.
Oh yeah. I feel like, wasn't he saying that because he was just trying to tell Caesar, like, this is all business? Like, why are you taking this?
Yeah, that's what I got. He was like, this is so much bigger than me and you and like our kids.
Right.
That's not why I'm doing this. You're taking this so personally. Calm down. This is about something way huger than the two of us in this room.
And in the meantime, he's being hypocritical by being emotional himself.
He wasn't emotional though. He was completely stone cold.
Have you seen? Oh, nah, he was definitely off his rocker. Have you seen?
But he wasn't emotional.
Those. I can't remember that. Was it Jim Jones or something like that? Whatever. That crazy dude who made everybody drink that Kool-Aid that was filled with cyanide.
Yeah.
Like, he's willing to go to that extreme.
He's a zealot.
He's an extremist, literally, from the jump. Even his own men was afraid of him. That's how extreme he was. And so
I mean, that's why the military was coming to get him. Yeah.
People were serving him out of fear. There wasn't serving him out of.
Well, I think some of the people were serving him because they also wanted to perpetrate hate crimes against the apes and they get off on it. That's the vibe I got. I don't think they were afraid of him. I think they were the same mind. They wanted to exterminate, and it felt good.
There was not all the same mind, because apparently there was a lot of people who left the camp. There was a lot of people who left that camp. Whatever.
Yeah, I meant the people that were left.
They became two different people. But even that one that kind of showed conflicting feelings from that the guy that Caesar let go. The one who was about to shoot him at the end. Can't remember his name. But anyways, even he was looking at Woody Harrelson like dang, like, you know what I'm saying? Like at some points, he wasn't looking at him comfortably like, I'm following you and I have every belief in you. I had that same look as Woody Harrelson looked. No, that dude was extreme. And people
he didn't make that face until Caesar said probably the most important line in the film. Right? When he's standing there with Woody Harrelson, and then he's like, Woody Harrelson's like, oh, would you show me mercy? You came here to kill me. And he's like, I showed you mercy when I sent your men back. And he said it in front of one of the guys he sent back. And that's when he was like, oh. And that's when he started to doubt Woody Harrelson. It's the only time you see it on Crossbow Dude. And it's definitely because of what Caesar said right then. It was the smartest thing he could have said right then, because he started to drive a wedge between them with words.
You took it that way. I'll take it in the sense that, because after he said that, he said, I wanted peace. Period. That's what Caesar wanted. I wanted peace. I wanted us to just do our own separate thing, right?
Yeah.
But
now he wants revenge.
You called Caesar Hitler in the beginning of the movie. And the first movie.
I think the chat.
I would never forget this. In the first movie,
that's Caesar such a meme. I didn't call him that.
Well, Okay, you didn't say Caesar was Hitler, but you say he had accolades basically like he was Hitler, right?
Yeah, you got to quote me accurately.
My
You
bad.
got to.
In a sense, Caesar was Hitler. So anyway, in the third movie, who became Hitler?
Who became
Woody
Hitler?
Harrelson.
Oh, he's talking about Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson became Hitler at the end of the movie. He had
Well,
people,
yeah.
he had people
He was
circling him.
100%. He was like 100% Hitler.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially since he made the apes do the work too.
That was
Right.
a total.
Oh,
that was a total-
oh my God.
Was that not biblical too? Like the whole slavery
Totally.
Egypt
Oh,
thing?
dude, yeah.
Exodus. Yeah, I said that earlier. Yeah, it totally reminded me of that whole thing. Like, they wouldn't get back to work. What are your dislikes, Raheem?
Oh my God. Oh, I want to wait till. Are
What do
you
you
done with
think
the
you're
dislikes, Jared?
Well, you just interrupted Jared and went on for like 10 minutes.
My
Just
bad. Well,
so
I forgot it was
give
even
me your
Jared's
dislikes.
part.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine. I'm,
I thought we moved. I forgot. I just thought we moved on to Raheem. All right,
That's
go ahead.
honestly all I had. I mean, and it's a small thing. It just took me out of the moment for just a split second, and it's the only time in the movie that I wasn't like locked in.
When Woody Harrelson was like,
Just-
"You're so emotional."
Some of his scenes and his delivery,
Okay.
but it,
All right.
like I said, minimal.
Okay. All right, Raheem, dislikes.
I want to make sure. So that's the only thing you disliked. That was just one thing you disliked.
Well, you're going to point out a bunch of things that I shouldn't like.
No. I'm asking you. Like, I want to make sure that you got, because sometimes you sacrifice your voice for everybody else to keep talking. So I
Right.
want to make sure that you got everything out.
Oh, gotcha. No, yeah, I think it's perfect. I really, really, really love the movie, and I don't say that often. I don't give out perfect 10s very often at all.
Yeah.
Like, I have like 20 movies.
Jesse Eisenberg would have been better.
Oh my gosh. Who is this Cody? Don't get me started, bro. Do not get me started.
Scorsese would have been very much pleased.
Jared, I agree with you. I mean, this to me, this is a 10. This is all the way 10. My things are minimal. All my things are minimal. But so going back all the way to the beginning, I hated the fact that they put up those subtitles in the beginning explaining what happened.
That's because the fans were like, why was this one called Dawn and this one called Rise? That's why he did it. He shut everyone up immediately from the beginning of this movie. Okay, that conversation's over. That's what that was. That's what it looked like to me anyway.
That means the fans should have did their research. That's what that means. I did not like that. I didn't like it at all.
Forcing it to make sense of why they're named what they are. A little bit.
Doesn't every single Star Wars movie do that?
Right.
Because Star Wars, it's been a trend with Star Wars, but not now with this movie. Like for me, I thought that it was not needed, wasn't necessary, and I am like muffling myself for what I really want to say, but it was not necessary. You follow the stories, and you get a sense of what. If you watch the story within itself, you get a sense of what it was, with each movie. How could you not know this is a war movie? After watching it, how could you not know it wasn't a Dawn movie? After watching, like getting a sense of Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, you know what I'm saying? Like you get each sense of the movie. So I feel like that should not have even been explained. So when I first got into this, I was like, oh God, is this movie gonna irritate me? Am I gonna be Izzy? Am I gonna be Izzy watching this movie? So that's how I felt going into it. And then the opening scene happened, and then boom, I was like, oh my God. So my son watched it with me, and me and him we were just like talking about it through the movie. Like, oh my God, Dad, did you see this? After we wind, that's what took me a little bit longer. After we wind some things.
That's cool.
Just to understand some stuff. And he was like, Dad, did you catch this? Whoop, whoop. And we're talking back. That's all good. Like my son, it's hard for him to sit through anything. So for him to sit through this 2 hour and 30-minute movie.
Wow.
And converse with me through the movie. That's how good this movie was, man. But anyways, that was my dislike in the beginning. That was my one thing. That's what I say. It was very little, very mundane. It wasn't really something that took away from the movie. The second thing that I disliked was the realism of the slavery trade in a sense, right? Here you have this skinhead dude, okay. And this is no offense to you, Jared.
Oh my God.
This skinhead dude who's bringing this slavery culture into the mix. It's kind of like going backwards. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like going backwards into history, knowing the history of what took place, but they're seeing them as animals. And what did black people look like? Animals. Okay, we was labeled as animals. So I kind of just like that feel. I think that they, I got like, I didn't understand the whole biblical thing until you guys said it tonight, like just now. But my mind instantly went there.
Oh, the slavery thing was 100. That was definitely like a theme.
There's a huge allegory for slavery.
From
in this movie.
from the beginning, when you see like all the stuff they're writing about, like donkey and monkeys and like the hate they have for it. It's 100% a thing.
I'm like, y'all didn't even have to go that hard. Like, I felt like y'all didn't have to go that hard to make the point. I felt like so. I just like that, and because not only that, because we were called apes, we were called monkeys as black people. So I just like, come on, you didn't have to go that far to make a point of being enslaved or doing work. You know what I mean? That's how I felt. So that was my other dislike, but it still did not take away from the movie because it's still, I guess, what's the one I'm looking for? It kind of brought the foreclosure, like the climax of the movie, even more so of what Caesar went through, of what the whole tribe went through, and all they really wanted was to be alone and live in peace. That's all they wanted. That was it. And there was a lot of attachments to where the Uncle Toms or the Steffens from the Django. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of brought that feeling too, like, house nigga and all that type of stuff. So it just brought all that and brought like negative energy to me, and I absolutely hated. I disliked that part, but I had to think about it in a sense of, what are they trying to say here, really? Not even though they use that as a front, but what are they trying to say really? In the storyline. So it kind of brought me back to not really focus on just that area, but the part of, of where they're at as a race in general when it comes to the apes and when it comes to humans.
All right, Phil. See you, man.
So those are my two dislikes. That was it.
Not to make you change your mind on that, but like, I get what you're saying, because like, yeah, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way too the first time I saw it. But then I thought about it and I was like, well, like if it's really the end of the world and some douchebag like Woody Harrelson becomes in power, I'm like, that's what he would do. Like a dude like that, like a douchebag, like, dude with like racist mentality like that, that's what he would do, man. Like he would treat him like, he'd be like, this is my time to like be a racist leader, like to be a leader that way.
And what was Kobe trying to do? The same damn thing.
Yeah. Kobe was like Michael B. Jordan's character in Black Panther.
Yeah.
That's like Kobe. Kobe's like, we need to kill these fools, man, because they will kill us.
Is he Killmonger?
Yeah, Killmonger.
Yeah, Killmonger.
I haven't seen it yet, but I know Killmonger.
Killmonger. Anyways, my two dislikes, that was it. But I still get a movie of 10. It was still a phenomenal movie. If I didn't have that in my mind, I probably wouldn't even thought of that. But it was a 10 for me.
Nice. All right. All right, Izzy.
I've only got three, and I'll keep it.
Hold on, Izzy. All right, go.
Okay. So I'll just get this out of the way now because I know it's going to upset you guys. I didn't like the soundtrack.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was actually a negative. It deterred from the film to me. It didn't fit, and it pulled me out every time it was nonstop. I would have liked to have seen the film with almost zero soundtrack. Actually, I remember thinking that, being like, man, this would have a lot more gravity. A lot of these scenes with no soundtrack at all. Like them finding the kid in the house after they shoot her dad. That should have been dead quiet. The camera should have been over his shoulder with the guns when he's like in there and it's tight quarters and they find a kid. No soundtrack. It should have felt like No Country for Old Men, and it could have. So that was a negative for me. I did not like the soundtrack. The other negative is the apes still cry, and that's not possible. So that still is like just such a deal breaker.
Once I was watching this movie, I was like, he's gonna bring up the crying.
How do you complain about evolution, and then when evolution is happening, you complain about it?
I'm not complaining about evolution. What I'm saying is, you don't develop tear ducts just because you got smarter. That's not that weird of a leap. Like, you don't get extra body parts like that you never had just because you got smarter from a gas. It doesn't work like that.
Did you read the link that I put up where Matt
No, dude, I'm not reading that crap. It's not going to explain any of it. You even said, here's why I didn't read it. You were like, well, it doesn't really explain it, and I was like, well, then why would I read it?
It's a movie.
It's a movie, dude. Like, yeah, and I think it would be, and here's the thing. Just hear me out for a sec. I don't want to beat this to death, but like, you can tell when a wild animal is grieving. And you can tell when a wild animal is joyful. And you can tell when a wild animal is affectionate. We don't need to be pandered to understand that. And I think that them doing the head bump is plenty. The way that monkeys actually show affection or aggression, those things are all in the movie, and we don't doubt it. They're already there. So the crying is gratuitous and inaccurate. And it pulls me out of the movie. Huh?
Raheem is like, something happened to Raheem.
He likes crying monkeys, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
He likes crying monkeys.
I'm soaking it all. I'm soaking it all in. Go ahead, continue.
Okay, and the last thing, and this is probably the most important one, and it's the same thing that I didn't like about the last one, is I felt alone because I didn't care about either side. I was not connected to the apes, nor should I be, and I was not connected to the humans, nor should I be. But the movie counts on me caring, right? It creates a lot of suspense, but it puts me on an island because I don't have anything in common with the apes, and I don't have anything in common with the humans. So I don't appreciate that from the film. How am I supposed to make that leap when you take it away from me, right? Like that's tough. And that was tough on the last movie, and I feel like it's probably its only major shortfalling. Like, actually, if aside from my nitpicking, I think that's probably the biggest problem with these movies is that you don't have a way to identify with either camp. The humans are shitty beyond belief, and the apes aren't me. They're a totally different species that got mutated. I don't have anything in common with them. Like, and I don't want to see them die. I would love to see them thrive, but I don't have a stake in it. I'm not invested because I'm not them, right?
Do you think that they added the girl for that purpose in a way?
No, she didn't feel gratuitous in that way. She was a plot point where you needed to see a mute. For his explanation later in the film to make sense, Woody Harrelson, when he's like, people can't talk anymore, you needed that to be pinned into your mind, like early on, from something that you identify with as like cute and sweet, something you like. You needed, like, the movie needed to give you something you liked to latch onto for that plot point to make sense and resonate later, and that worked. I think from a writing standpoint, I think that's why they did it. But that's it. Those are my only 3 dislikes. Everything else was great, actually.
I love you, Izzy.
Good.
I have to get to
Actually, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, me neither. Like, his face.
They're big, though. Don't get me wrong.
No, those are big.
I was being pulled out of the movie
big. They are big.
by those 3 things. They were persistent. They would not leave. One of those 3 things is on the screen all the time.
I have to get to know you better so I can understand your mind, Izzy. I have to get to know you better. I'm serious.
Why? What do you mean? Why is that surprising?
It's just very interesting. Your take on emotion. It's just very interesting because I took a lot of emotion from the very parts that you touched on. I've gotten a lot of depth of the parts that you touched on, and you have nothing. Like there was no emotion attached.
No, I'm not attached to either camp. I'm not an ape, and I'm not a crappy human. And that's the two camps. That the whole plot is around these 2 camps that I have no investment in because I have nothing in common with either. So I'm just watching them fight for 2 hours, 3 times. And I'm like, all right.
The familial element where you've got a wife and a kid and you see them mowed down, in front of you, and you've got the just.
Yeah, but I'm not an ape. like that's I have to make a species wide jump there to understand that. Like that's pretty wild. Like, and they don't ever show that from the human side, really. They just vilify us. And also, what better way to vilify us than through the slavery thing in this film?
Yeah.
That's a
did
really
not
good way to do it,
vilify
honestly.
us. It was only vilified in this movie. In their first movie, humans wasn't vilified all the way. It was like kind of 50-50, right? Same thing with apes. It was 50-50. It was 50-50 in the second movie, in Dawn. It was 50-50. There were some good humans. There was a lot of bad humans. It was kind of like what's going on in today's world. But you get the understanding that it's always a 50-50. You know what I'm saying? There were some good ones and bad ones. In this one, there were some good apes. There were some bad apes.
Yeah, yes, I agree. But I'm not talking about being unable to understand good and bad within each camp. I'm saying I'm not identifying with either camp because one is a different species and one is vilified. It's that simple. Like I can't identify with either camp, but yes, I can understand within each camp that there's good and bad people. That's easy. But that doesn't make me attached. It takes more than that for me to be attached. Like, you know what I mean? Like this movie forces you to be a spectator. It doesn't invite you in. You're not a part of either camp. And if you are, it's because you're projecting. You're being like, oh, if that was my family, I would feel this way. Well, it's not your family. It isn't. Right? Like, stop. Like,
If that was a human scenario, if that was a man-on-man scenario, you would feel differently. Yes?
but it wasn't. It was a movie about monkeys.
Okay, whoa. I'm trying to drop him a point. So yes or no? Was it, that was a man-
Hardcore. I am not. I'm so softcore. I'm such a stupid idiot. Like, but I know when I don't. I know when a movie hasn't grabbed me because they're putting up barriers between me and the camps that I'm supposed to be watching.
If
You
that
know,
was
they really did.
human,
Like,
if that was human on human in that scenario, would you not gravitate to it, or would you not feel it, or no?
like if it was too camp. Yeah, I mean, this is why I want to watch Lawrence of Arabia really badly. What you're describing right there. Because I think that would be easier for me to identify with when it comes to two giant camps going against. Actually, I really like Kingdom of Heaven for that reason. The director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven, I really liked that because it was interesting to try to identify with Balian as a character. You know, to be like, oh, whoa, that would be weird to have your father come out of nowhere. You're like a bastard, and then find out he's a weird noble in some holy war that you want nothing to do with, and try to fit in, and then reluctantly have to defend things. That's much easier to identify with than a genetic mutation of a different species.
Okay, so you agree that if it was human on human, you would identify with it.
It depends on the human, because there are movies where I watch where I don't identify with either camp. Like, okay, There Will Be Blood is my favorite movie, and I don't identify with either main character.
That's a good point.
Right? I feel like a spectator in that movie, like for sure. I'm not involved in that, but it is wild to watch. So
my whole thing is trying to bring home
Avatar. That's true. I feel the same way about Avatar, actually, Nathan. That's a good point. I feel excluded from that film too, even though it's beautiful.
Bringing home a connection with humanity. What defines being human, or
the capacity for abstract thought. That's an easy answer.
Humanity.
That's what defines being a human. That's what separates us from the animal kingdom, is that we have the capacity for abstract thought, right? So now the monkeys get it, but that doesn't make them human. That's the whole point of this movie. Like, you just accidentally tripped over the whole point of the film, in the wrong way, though. Like,
that is completely wrong. That is not what defines humans. That is not what defines humanity.
The capacity for abstract thought? Yes, it is. That's completely what separates us from the animal kingdom.
What defines humanity is the ability to love and forgive.
You don't think animals can do that? You're out of your mind.
No,
you're out of your mind if you think animals can't do that.
No. There's a difference, and you hit on the point, right? Because monkeys can't cry, right? So you hit on the point.
But they can grieve.
So you take humanity. The two biggest things that humanity can do is love and forgive. The two biggest things, and they coincide.
But the animal kingdom can do that too.
Animals cannot do that, dude.
They can.
You just said they have instincts. They
do, but they also know compassion and forgiveness. They know those things. They just don't have abstract thought. That's literally the only thing that separates us from the animal kingdom.
They have instinct. They have instincts, right? They show glimpse of love because out of instinct. They don't. It's like how can I explain this? It's like
I don't know.
They don't fully understand what they are doing in a sense.
That's abstract thought, Raheem.
When,
That's what I just
when
said.
it comes to love, or not fighting, okay, it's a natural instinct for us. We have the full understanding of the capacity of what
Yes,
it.
you're
of what
describing
happens.
abstract thought
But
right
what
now.
happens when we
Literally
what happens
describing
when
it in the
we give?
dictionary.
I'm
Is
saying
it?
humans have the full capacity of that. And I thought that they brought this out in the apes beautifully of how the apes have evolved, and there's a whole underlining thing when it comes to Mother Earth. But the apes have evolved in a sense to where they have that now. They have the ability to understand love, to understand forgiveness, to understand these things. Like, so
the gas gave them abstract thought. Yes.
For me, that's what humanized the apes. It
I agree.
humanized them because they made them like us.
It gave them abstract thought. Yes, that's why they're humanized, and that's why it's a weird plot point.
It's not an abstract thought. It's a feeling. It's
the ability to understand the details and nuance of love with intent is the definition of abstract thought, or to appreciate art because it makes you feel something. That's abstract. You're saying the same thing I'm saying, Raheem.
No. Because you can't.
You're not disagreeing with me.
You cannot fully express or explain love, because love comes in many different facets. There are different words to express different types of love, but you cannot explain love in its fullest sense. We just can't. The only person who can't fully explain it is God, and we're not even on that level. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's just from what I've seen in watching these apes and the evolution, you'll probably laugh after this, but the evolution of them crying, you know what I'm saying? That part, it kind of human. Like, I got teared up. My son got teared up. Like, we got teared up watching this movie of understanding the love that he has, the passion that he has for family. Maybe it's me because I'm all about family. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's me, but the connection of what he was trying to do, the connection of what was lost, and then revenge, and then feeling remorse or regret of what he was trying to do because of at what cost. You know what I'm saying? So like all these things happen, but that is all human nature. For me, the apes were like, this is what being humans are. And the fact that they had the girl part, I'm gonna touch on this and I'm gonna shut up, but the girl part, right? What do humans do if they find a stray monkey or ape? What would they do?
Take him in
this movie?
Take him in, take care of him, because they know that his survival rate is low on its own. Reverse roles. I was like, oh my God. I was tripping. I was like, this is dope. This is so dope on how what they did was humanize the monkeys, and then they animalized the humans. But in reality, a lot of humans are freaking animals, as we see today in this world. It's dog eat dog world. We out here to survive, right? And that's what I got from this movie. Done. I'm gonna shut up.
I mean, I agree with you. The apes got humanized because they were given the capacity for abstract thought that allows you to understand the nuances of love, and abstract thought is what gives us the ability to do all the stuff you're talking about, Raheem. That's the definition of it. I'm not disagreeing with you by any stretch. That's what creates humans. That's what humanizes the animals in the film. Now their mind is open to a degree where they're like, oh, I'm no longer just instinctually loving. I am now creating opportunities for it and protecting things thoughtfully and coming up with plans and designs, right? That, yes, they totally get humanized through that gas.
Abstract thinking, is it the same thing as like self-awareness?
Because I agree, Tony.
No.
Because I've always heard that like a cat walks by a mirror and sees its reflection and doesn't realize that's him because he doesn't really, and it's like hunches down and hisses at it because he can't.
That's not the same as self-aware, though. What you're describing is not the same.
So is it,
cat knows it's alive.
Is that another distinction between humans and animals then? Because that's what I've always heard, self-awareness.
No, most animals know they're alive, because if they didn't, they wouldn't try to preserve their life or their young.
That's instinct, though. I mean,
it's an instinct based on self-awareness, Jared. It's not it's not an on or off switch. It comes from that. It comes from the fact that it knows it's there. Like, but they don't have abstract thought. They can't think about why they're alive.
Okay.
Right? Like that's really what separates us. And yes, I mean that's the plot of the movie is apes being humanized through that process. Right?
Agreed.
I'm not disagreeing with that at
What else,
all.
Beyond?
But
David,
I
I
don't
would agree with
dislikes.
that. I would agree with that.
but them being humanized, here's my point. I think this is what makes Raheem mad. Them being humanized through abstract thought isn't enough for me to feel connected to them.
It's
I'm not
not
an
through
ape.
abstract thought. You're
I'm not
saying
an ape that got humanized. I'm not like I'm still a spectator.
it's not through abstract thought. It's not. That's how it started. It started that way, but they evolved to something like the biggest underlining. I said I was gonna be shut up, but the biggest underlining.
Nobody believed you.
Underlining. I know.
You're funny.
I didn't believe myself.
You did really good for a while. You were doing really good for a bit.
The biggest underlining story, right, is Mother Earth is setting back the clock, cleaning up the earth of what humans done. That is the biggest underlying story. It was little parts that was said here and there that made that very clear to me. And so having a quick evolution type of thing that happened, it just made it even more poignant of what happened, what took place, on how it took place. To me,
I would agree with that.
biggest thing.
The thing, kind of one of the things I got from it was like, just because you're humans doesn't mean you're fit to lead this earth. So like that's kind of like, that was kind of like Harrelson's thing is like, oh, we got to take these guys out because like he knows that the apes are eventually going to win. So he's like, oh, we got to take them out. We got to take them out. But it's like, who's to say you're the one to take, like, just because you're human, like you should be the one leading right now, like.
And then what started happening, right?
You need the earth. The earth don't need you.
Humans stopped having the ability to speak, right? Which I didn't really understand that part, but
it's because of the disease, dude. They said that.
Okay. So this is a lasting effect of the disease. So the long
Way it interacts with humans, yeah.
It mutated to that.
But it also showed from the little girl that she was able to communicate through what? Sign language. Going back to the apes on how they used to sign, starting off as far as communication, which apes can actually sign language. So that to me furthered my thought of having this underlying story of Mother Earth cleaning up Earth.
Okay. And that, I mean, how does that connect me to either camp in this film?
If you're not connected, you're not connected. I mean,
yeah, but it adds to the story, the overall story of evolution, because they pushed evolution to the fullest. I felt like, especially in this third one, they pushed evolution all the way.
God, really? I didn't get that at all.
I didn't either.
I completely thought it was genetic manipulation
Okay,
the whole way.
Just think of this as Batman versus Superman, and then you'll come up with any type of excuse to make it make sense.
Oh my god!
Is that weird that I'm not connected to either camp in this movie? I feel like that's not hard to make sense of that.
The thing that made me connect to the apes in it is because that's one of the things I saw about it was like they were trying to the humans are kind of trying to force their way to be relevant in this world. They're trying to. It's like I don't know. It's like Woody Harrelson's character realized humans aren't actually I guess as valuable to the planet as he thought they were. Like the apes could if all the humans got wiped off on the planet, how's that going to hurt the apes? It's not going to hurt the apes. You know what I mean? Because they can survive in nature how it is.
Yeah.
So
that's how they survive.
In that sense, it made me feel for them because
they just go full.
They're they're literally just trying to live, and the humans are trying to take them out for their own selfish reasons.
Yeah.
Dumbass reasons too.
It's just control. It's just he's desperate. He's desperate for control, and he doesn't have it. That's almost every villain ever.
He's already taken full measure. He's already taken full measure, and if he feels like he did that for nothing, then he wouldn't be able to live with himself, by killing his family like that.
He showed no remorse for killing his son. You see that? That scene, that's important. He thinks that's the right thing to do because he's a zealot.
Yeah.
He the only time he thinks about killing himself is not because he killed his kids, because he can't talk anymore. He's like,
I mean,
he's
you have
so
to have
far
that.
gone.
It's like
Huh?
there comes a point
That
where
is
you have
hard.
to turn that off in your brain. Don't you think that's what drove him a little bit to be as crazy as he was? Is that he had to do this terrible, terrible thing, and then he had to make that a valid thing. So he just had to push it all the way.
No, I didn't get that. No, I thought he was already. I don't think he got there in that moment to kill his son. I think he was already there. I think he was already so against the virus and so against apes that when his son contracted the disease, he's like, okay, like because he doesn't act like he was sad about it. He flaunted it for a second to try to throw it in Caesar's face about something he went through, but I didn't buy it. Like otherwise, he would have killed himself already. If he was that tore up about it.
Damn.
But instead, what he did was round up a bunch of apes, force them to build a wall, get a military together. He still had a motive in him. He was not broken up about his son, dude. Like he had an end game that didn't involve his kid.
I'm not saying he's broken up about it. I'm saying it was the progression of him turning himself off and realizing that if he did start thinking about, did I do the right thing by killing my son? Then it was all for nothing, and it's like you just got to.
Oh, like the sunk cost fallacy.
Once you go,
I've already gone this far, so I can't go back.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
Somebody
yes.
Thanos. Yeah, pretty.
Maybe there's more to his character than
in this movie. They did not really expand. I wish they would have expanded a little bit more on Woody Harrelson's backdrop or background. I think that would have made more of an attachment. From what I got from him, he was just this dude who just lost it. And I agree with Izzy. It didn't just happen like that. I mean, he was already gone before he even made that. For you to think that this is what I have to do, you've been gone a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? For that to even be a thought.
I'm sure.
Talk about the goofy monkey for a sec.
So
I hated him.
Thanos was a villain.
I agree.
I liked Woody Harrelson more than
Thanos.
Thanos.
I hated the goofy monkey. Tony wants us to talk about the goofy monkey for a sec.
I love the goofy monkey.
Hold on. Let me do my dislikes real quick.
Yeah, I was
Oh
gonna
yeah, do your dislikes.
I was actually going to ask you.
They're not major. They're not major. I will say I did love the score, but one thing I will agree with Izzy about one scene of this where the score kind of like I thought it was like too much was when Caesar saw his dead family and he looked up and he saw Woody Harrelson and it's just like this really like the I just remember that I don't know what it is about the drums in that scene and like I was just like it's too much. I was like I don't know. It was like the wrong kind of build up.
Yeah.
It wasn't like suspenseful. It was just like don 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 don.
That's it. Silent. That's it. Silent all the way.
I felt like that was a callback to the original series for some reason. Like that felt like that felt like a 60s. That's what I got. Like
yeah, there was a couple moments where they do the original theme in the movie.
Okay.
And it was really it was honestly very out of place, but it was there. Like
another part was I mean it was I don't know. I felt like it was just kind of rushed, but like so the part where they're coming out and that gorilla gives the little girl the pink flower.
Yeah.
And then like 2 minutes later that gorilla dies and the girl's like crying over it and she puts the pink flower in it. I didn't feel that scene like at all. I don't know what
that should have happened way sooner.
I was like, I felt like it was so quick. Like
he should have died.
He literally gave her the flower, and then the next scene, that gorilla dies, and she like is crying, gives him the flower back. It felt so rushed to me. I was like, what's the point? Like she bonded with this gorilla in like 2 minutes.
It was 2 scenes later, but
it was quick though. I mean, it was like 5 minutes. It was like 5 minutes.
It was quick. But my thing with that, I'm gonna just give a quick rebuttal to that. My thing is again, like finding the connection between humans and apes, and at the end,
we get it. You're
connected. At the end of the day, what Caesar said in Dawn of the Apes is that humans and apes are alike. At the end of the day, the good humans and the good apes just want to coexist. That's it. That's it. And so I felt like yes, I didn't feel anything too. Like I agree with you. I didn't feel drawn to that part. But I agree. As far as a connection. I understood what they tried to do as far as connecting the human nature to feel, and now we're trying to feel for an ape, or the ape trying to feel for a human. I get that. So, that's it.
Yeah, that, and then the other one was just like I felt like Raheem, because it was kind of like a convenient moment, whereas I didn't realize like until I rewatched it today, like this is how that happened. But when he found the tunnel, like the goofy ape just fell through, he just happened to back up on the hole behind that
No, I'm not
rock and he
going in
fell
there.
through. Yeah, and he like just fell through and that happened to be the tunnel that goes like right underneath to where the
Convenient.
apes
Ends the
are.
movie.
Convenient.
I was like, I didn't realize that the first time I watched it, but I watched it today. I was like, wow, that's like, because that's a big plot point. Like that's how they get out. Like
That's
it
the end
just
of the movie.
happens to go out right there.
He saw the
Um,
movie.
Well, that's how some of them got out.
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah, but that's convenience. I hate convenience in movies. Convenience
Yeah.
always kills me.
And the only other thing, maybe I need to watch it again. Maybe you guys saw something I didn't see. But the one part, like I like just bugged the crap out of me because of like it didn't make sense to me, was when the little girl just walks right into the place where they're
Yeah.
holding all the apes and goes up to Caesar, and then she like goes to the other cage, and then she comes back, and like you see all these guards walking around, like they
Yeah.
show you the guards walking around in the background and like up top and everything with like searchlights and stuff. I'm like, nobody sees her. I'm like,
Yeah.
am I missing something, or like are
The
some of the
director-
guards not there, or like
He must never have played Metal Gear Solid ever. Like I was so stressed out. I was like, brink. Like I was like, it's gonna happen. Like,
That was my game, bro. I love that game. Yeah, I get it.
that part annoyed me so much. It annoyed me so much. I was like, really? Like she just waltzed right in there, like, and nobody saw her. Like she wasn't trying to be like slick or nothing. She was just like she was just,
I'm just a
strolling
kid.
the park, man.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I gave that part a pass. I'm not even gonna...
That's funny. I totally didn't. But it wasn't like a deal breaker either. But it was
I
dumb.
gave that
Yeah, it
movie
wasn't
a pass.
like
I
it.
gave
I mean, it
part
wasn't
movie a
that
pass.
bad, but it was just like it just annoyed me when I was watching it because
Yeah.
like they showed the guards walking around like in the background
Yeah.
when she was walking in there.
Damn it.
Well, then Rocket has to get caught to like get her loose, which
Yeah.
ended up being good because he could sign to Caesar, which was a powerful tool. That was one of my
Right.
favorite parts of the film.
Mhm.
But that's not why Rocket got caught. It was like a last second thing where he's like, "Oh, that girl's gonna get caught. What do we do?" Like, what, you know
Right.
what I mean? And so he basically just gets caught to like distract, and then Caesar's like, "Oh," but then that ends up being like a really good decision, which is kind of nice. But maybe that's why they did that. Maybe that's why they made the girl go in there. They're like, "How do we get Rocket caught on purpose so they can start signing?"
Right.
You know, like
Maybe.
from a writing, they might have
Maybe.
reverse engineered, like wrote that.
Right.
It added to the turn of events. It did. So there was an out, and that was the out right there.
Yeah.
Again, humans, you know, I mean not humans, but apes adapting and looking at this little girl, and they seen her as just a little girl, nothing else, and they did what they did to save her life, risking their own lives. So it just shows the humanization of the core of what being a human is protecting one another, being about life, being about love, being about family, being about whatever it is that makes life beautiful. And that's what they protected, and they seen that in that little girl. It had nothing to do with what humanoid she is. Is that they seen her for who she is as a person, and that's what I took from the film.
So we talk about Bad Ape now?
Who? Oh, the goofy ape.
That's what they call him. That's his name.
Bad ape. Yeah.
Bad Ape.
I love that. Ape. I love that.
He was funny. That was what's the name of the guy that voiced him again?
Steve Zahn.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, that guy.
You see that?
guy.
Oh, boy, huh?
Yeah.
Like
I
you
mean,
said,
he was okay.
Raheem, you pointed out that it had a great blend of humor, and I mean, he was really the only comedic character in there that I can think of. But it was
the dude was
monkeys are funny, man. Monkeys are really funny to watch, and it's like I'm glad they
that guy.
Here's Workman. I'm glad they added the fact that monkeys are fun. You know, I liked him.
Like that guy.
Man. So
Oh my god.
he became the comic relief. but he had some seriousness to it too. But they made it kind of goofy to his seriousness because he wasn't fully developed like everybody else, right? Which shows that you still need education. You still
Well, he spoke better than anybody, really.
What did he say? He said he watched humans, right? So he only emulated whatever he watched. So if you paid attention to his wording was like a 3-year-old, literally. You know, like I remember engaging with when my daughter was 3 years old, engaging with her and how she spoke. She broke up just like that. It was weird, but that's how she spoke. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, so I gauged his education as being a 3-year-old, but only watching. So imagine somebody not knowing how to read, not knowing how to write, but just watching and listening to humans on what's what. And so he put his words together. And if you notice that he didn't really know how to introduce himself, so he said he did a little bit of sign language, kind of like a hood sign language, so them know this is my name. You know what I'm saying? So watching that, I got a lot out of him. Just he had a lot of depth to his character, but he was also a comic relief because he was ignorant in a sense of vocabulary, but he wasn't ignorant in the sense of environment. You know what I'm saying? So he knew, and this pays tribute to people who grew up in the hood with small education or less education. Like you adapt to the environment to survive, was what he did. But to articulate your words correctly, you're not going to do. You can talk to somebody in the same state. I'm gonna give an example, like Illinois, right? You go to the East Illinois to the West Illinois, the dialect is completely different, but the English is still English. But it's hard to understand somebody from the West to the East. So that's how I took it. It was just like that, and it kind of added to the whole slavery thing and how he was talking. Or that one ape, how he called Colonel with an accent, but he said it with an accent. How he said,
yeah, he said like Colonel.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When he was talking, it was like that slavery. I hate it every moment.
I didn't catch that.
But my point is that education played a whole lot as far as intelligence. They played a whole lot in this. So if you're not educated, if you're not taught a certain thing, you can't really articulate your words, but you can express yourself sign language, like, you know, however, like how we always talk naturally. It's a natural sign language. We understand what this is. We understand what, like, you know what I'm saying, like certain facial expressions. That's where he was at a 3-year at a third grade level of education. And that's how I took it. But it added to the comedy where it needed to be. But they didn't draw out the comedy throughout the movie.
Yeah, it wasn't too much.
Yeah, I thought he was okay. I mean, I didn't mind him. The only thing I didn't notice it the first time. I noticed it this time when I was watching it. The only thing I didn't like about his character is that, like, he was only the comic relief. Like, I didn't notice the first time he said it that he said, "I'll take you there," like, because, like, do you think my son would be there? Because he said he had a kid, and like they never brought that up again, unless I missed it. But like they never brought up his son again. Like I don't know. It would have been nice to see him do something else besides just be the comic relief. But I mean, it's whatever. I didn't mind him.
Yeah. Again, that movie was 2 hours and 30 minutes.
It could have been longer.
It was 2 hours and 10 minutes. The credits are like 12 minutes of it.
Yeah, I think the entire time is like 220 from like end credits to the beginning.
220. But my thing is like now we're wanting from each character. They should have done a fourth one. Then they should have added one more thing to add. You know what I'm saying? Like,
or just make it longer. What's wrong with a 3-hour movie?
We're just now into 3-hour movies. Back then, nobody was into 3-hour movies, bro.
Have you seen Lord of the Rings? Those movies won Oscars, man, and all those movies are like 3 hours long.
That's
and
true.
The extended cuts are like 4 hours.
Yeah.
And nobody cared. Nobody cared.
That was literally the first of its kind.
No.
Stop.
No.
It kind of brought it back because I mean, movies were 3 hours long back in the 50s all the time. Like they had to have a break in the middle.
You literally
so people could go to the bathroom.
An intermission, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
they were a little.
Godfather.
I think
Yeah,
they were.
Spielberg kind of killed that. Spielberg was like
Yeah.
the first real director to kill that, to kill long form film, like for a
Y'all,
while.
y'all just proved my point.
No, yeah.
But yeah, Gone with the Wind is a great example.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Lord of the Rings brought it back, and then Avatar was really long too, wasn't it?
Avatar was
Joe.
long.
Maybe
Okay,
just
Joe.
Bye, Joe.
felt long. So okay, I'm curious what you guys think of the climax with the avalanche. Like, is that a little like X?
Oh wait, hold on. I want to hear what Izzy says about Bad Ape.
Oh, I already know what he's going to say.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just we'll all just shut up then. Let's just skip me if we already know.
Hell
Right.
no.
Let's let Raheem answer.
You gotta
for me
say it.
instead.
You gotta say it.
No.
You gotta say it.
I just didn't want to hear what Izzy had to say.
You gotta
No, you
say it.
don't.
Oh wow, I didn't realize it. Okay, so Avatar was 2 hours and 42 minutes.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
You didn't see it in the theater, evidently. I sat through that entire thing.
Yep.
It didn't feel like
You
it
were
was that
seeing that
long.
in 3D. That's the only movie I've seen in 3D that I actually liked in
Didn't feel like
3D
that long.
in theater.
All right, bring it.
I thought it was stupid and unnecessary. I would have liked if they. I like the idea of a zoo monkey that survived that didn't know how to sign. I liked the concept of that. But I think what they should have done was found him up in the mountains, like, and been like, whoa, this dude's like holed up in here and he's just fine. But he's like, oh, I know where you can find those guys, and he just shows them, and that's the end of his character. And maybe he shows up later to save them in some weird way, but he's definitely not this stapled on comedic thing for the rest of the film from the second he shows up till the credits run. Like that, I was like not into it. Like, and I like Steve Zahn. He was my favorite Wonder from That Thing You Do. I like him, but like, I don't know. It just felt too kooky.
Did you know?
Like, huh?
Did you know it was Steve Zahn when you were watching, or did you just find
Oh
out?
yeah, I could tell right away. Yeah, I love him. He's funny, but like that was just so. It just felt like a cartoon character, man. Just didn't feel like it matched with the gravity of what was happening at all.
Yeah, if they would at least brought up like him being upset or something that he didn't see his son there when they go in there, I wouldn't have minded. I mean, I didn't mind his character really. I was just kind of like, I don't know. I was like, why did they mention like that was the motivation for him going there, was like hoping to see his son there, and then like he just never talked about it again.
Yeah, that is weird. I guess they rescue all the little kids, so maybe they got him, but like,
Yeah.
they didn't show
Okay, so let me correct something. He said he's the only survivor, so nobody died. But he did say to identify with Caesar that he had a son, and he literally said he had.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. He was helping Caesar because he had a son that died.
Oh, he lost a son also? Not that he still had one. He had one.
I thought he said, didn't he say, do you think my son is there? Didn't he say that?
No.
I think he said, do you think your son is there?
Yes.
Oh, maybe that's what he said. Okay.
And the thing is, and that's what I mean by articulating your words. He cannot articulate his words like a full-on adult. You know what I mean? So his emotions showed forth, like the watery eyes. That like he looked at him. He's like, yes, because you understand they never spoke about my son is dead or my older son were dead or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like he never spoke about that, but you knew what had happened because they said it earlier of what had happened. Like he's the only survivor. So there was nobody left for him. There was nobody left on his side. So he's the only one that came out of the zoo alive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that whole part right there, I took from that. Just looking at the eyes. They did a great job of showing emotion through the eyes. But looking at the eyes, and then that little small section of just that little verbal stuff, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna be down. I'm gonna be down with you to help you out. I wasn't for it because I know it's a bad area. I'm not gonna try to be about that. But because I lost a son too, I know that feeling, and I want to do whatever I could to save my son. So I'm going to help you save your son.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
And I've seen it a few times, so I never got the idea that he was going there for his own son.
But you can only feel that if you feel for the monkeys.
Bring it back around again. That's what we call a callback.
Like, I don't understand why he's like beating that to death. I have no problem with the fact that you can identify with them. I'm not harping on you for that.
No,
I don't get why you gotta come at me for me not doing it.
I'm just poking fun, just to have fun.
Oh right, you guys do that. I keep forgetting.
I wanted to bring up the finale, but we're getting close. Like it's almost 10 already. So maybe we should. I was thinking maybe we should do like our ratings. We all know that a couple of us have perfect 10s, but maybe we should do like a quick overall the trilogy. Like now that everybody's seen the whole thing as one,
Like
maybe
rate the whole trilogy.
yeah, maybe it like changed. Like with me, changed their opinions of the earlier ones.
Are we comparing it to the Dark Knight series?
No.
Oh, yeah, there's
No,
definitely
just on its
two.
own. No, let's
Okay.
compare it. Yeah,
Because
just for
Dark
what it
Knight
is.
still wins, by the way.
Compare it just
What?
for what it is.
Dark Knight still wins if it's compared to this movie.
Oh, don't do that. Just do.
It does.
After he's like, "Are we doing that?" and we say no, and then he does it. Are you?
I do want to say, Izzy, I agree with a lot of stuff. I agree with a lot of stuff you said, as far as your takes when it comes to the negative parts, to some of the positive parts. I do agree, but always have to say to a degree, because I do get your because it's scientific and it is
Oh man.
biologically sound. I'm gonna put it that way. So I get it.
I just want a movie to feel like I can believe it.
Yeah.
Unless it's absolutely like hard fantasy or sci-fi, and this isn't that. They are trying to realize something fantastic.
That's true.
The point of the movie is to make it believable, and if it's still not believable after they throw that much weight into trying to make it believable, then that's a problem. They didn't pull it off.
So, quick question. So, if they'd done away with the tears in general, like there was never any tears.
We could talk about what would make this movie believable for me. That's easy. Yeah, there's only a few things that I would change.
Do it.
Yeah, the monkeys wouldn't cry. You would use the way that they actually show emotion in the animal kingdom because we already believe it. It's easy to tell when an ape is grieving. It's easy to tell when it's being, compassionate. We already can see those things. It's easy. They don't need to pander to us for us to see that stuff. So that they would have done that, that would have been a huge thing. But also like imagine if Bad Ape had been a human, like a grizzled old guy that was living up there and he helped them. Instead, I would have liked to have seen a human cross the bridge. Right? The way that they want the way that they wanted us to. The way that they want us to identify with the apes in this movie. That's what they're
I'm not
trying to
laughing
force
at
on
you,
us.
Izzy.
Right?
I'm laughing at cats.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Let's just stick with the animal theme.
I was like, that's not funny. That's actually what the movie's trying to force. Like, it wants us to bridge the gap between us and the apes. Why didn't they give us a human that did that in a way that helped them finish the movie out? That's Bad Ape should have been an old guy living up there that helped them. Should have been a human, definitely. And then I would have been there for it, man. I would have been like, oh, and like he would have been like, and what if it was like one of Koba's apes had killed his son and he still helped Caesar? How much more powerful would that have been?
That would have been
just some goofy idiot.
That would have been dope.
Like,
not even gonna lie.
yeah, so that's all I wanted. I just wanted a few things like that just writing wise could have brought the movie together in a way that made it feel real, because it didn't feel real and I felt like a spectator. That's all. That's it. Like, it's not a lot. And I mean, even with the weird soundtrack in the third one, like I still think I would have liked it a lot much better if those things had been true. Like if they had just changed those like two things maybe. So that's all. Just a human element to bridge the gap and biological accuracy. That's not too much to ask, I don't think.
So overall rating, Jared, for the whole series.
Oh, let me give my number rating for this movie though.
Oh yeah, I guess we'll do it this one. Yeah. So Jared, for this one, just this movie.
He said 10. I'm also giving it a 7.
Whoa!
I'm also giving it a 7. And it's trying to be a serious movie about monkeys and humans fighting. And it fails in a few ways. So I have to dock it. Because I can't take it seriously because of a few things, and they're very big. Like, so but it is so well done that it muscles through that. So it's a 7 still. And I would rate them actually 2, 3, 1. I
rate
think
them what?
2. I would rate them 2, 3, 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though 2 and 3 are tied for 7. I think if I was going to sit down and watch one of these again, it would be the second one for fun. If I was going to like sit down and watch it because I liked it, it would be the second one, because there is some more interesting camera work and a better soundtrack.
Did you like? Okay, this is the scene I thought that you might have liked. Did you like that scene to where Woody Harrelson had that the shadow that kind of came over and kind of make him look like a different person in a sense? I think that was bringing out the evil person in him, like that
Oh yeah.
feeling. To me, that scene was so dope, and I immediately thought about Izzy. I said, I think he's gonna like this part right here.
Oh yeah, I loved that.
Crazy
One of my
too.
favorite shots is when they're down below the waterfall, though.
Oh yeah, that was
That's like one of the best shots in the whole movie. I think
Mhm.
when they're sitting at the base of the waterfall, the camera work there is just so grandiose and like seems effortless. So anyway, Dave.
I will give it. I'll give it like a strong 8.5, maybe a 9, like 8.5.
Wait,
Just
so you
strong.
called it a masterpiece, but you're not putting it a 10.
I wouldn't say it's a 10. I do think it's.
I think he uses that word visually. I'm starting to learn that about Dave.
I'm a big visual guy. Like I love
Yeah.
visuals.
What is it? What
And
is
I
it
love,
to you if
I
not a
love,
masterpiece?
I love symbolism in movies. I love visuals, and I love like when movies have more than one theme going to them. Like I love that. I hate when a movie is just like straightforward. It is what it is. I hate that about movies. I hate it.
Monkeys.
Because like bad visuals take me out of a movie. Like that's what makes me want to like rewatch movies and over and over. Is like when it visually looks good. Like I look forward to watching it again when it visually looks good.
Yeah.
To explain why you like Snyder so much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, like I watched 300, and like I can watch 300 over and over again because
Same.
visually it is just like perfect.
He's a master of visual crafting.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And he's fearless. He doesn't
Yeah.
care about like his criticisms.
I enjoyed this series. We had a lot of differences in this one.
It was fun. It was fun discussing it.
I'm glad I turned you on to Raheem. I'm glad you liked it so much.
You know what? Man,
Yeah, Raheem loved it. That's true.
I absolutely loved I felt like maybe it's just me. Like I said, like I kind of read into things sometimes where maybe it's not there, but it's there for me. I got a lot of depth in that movie. I got a lot of it. Like the Mother Earth, like I was saying, like the underlining story of it all, the Mother Earth, evolution, humanity, love, compassion.
The slavery thing you brought.
Egyptian slavery forgiveness was the biggest part of it all, because again, Caesar tried to show forgiveness to the humans who came and attacked them. Like they never went and attacked them. They never went and attacked the humans. Just think about that. They only went there to discuss and to show that they are in numbers when they went to the people, the paranoid people, and Don. It's like they never attacked them. It was only humans who attacked, except for Koba. You know what I'm saying? But just that part alone, like just anyways. So it was so much death in War, Planet of the Apes, and I got so much out of it. I felt it. My eyes watered up. I laughed.
Yeah, Jared's like triumphant now. He just
Really
yeah.
happy.
I think it's interesting that
I'm just saying that movie to me was a perfect 10. I enjoyed it completely.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, I mean, not crazy. The thing that's crazy to me, in a good way, not like that's insane, but I mean, the thing that I keep coming back to with this whole project of the four of us is like how different things resonate with different people.
Yeah.
And they're all completely valid. Like they're just so different. Like I will be moved by something completely
we
different.
all were like, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I do get moved. I tear up at stuff, but it hasn't been any of the stuff that we've talked about yet. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
I cannot wait to see that happen.
I know everybody thinks I'm an ice block on this channel, and it's so not true. I totally cry on my couch to stuff, but it isn't. It's not a made-up war between monkeys and people.
No,
but yeah, it's just cool. It's cool to see how much music will resonate with Jared. That's definitely a huge thing. Music will make or break a movie for Jared in a way it doesn't for me.
Music buff. He's a music buff. So I can guarantee.
But so am I. I'm a musician too. We're both musicians. That's the thing. That's my point. It's like we're still different about that though. Like, and it's cool. And now I'm starting to learn. Jared, there were times on this movie where I was like, oh, oh, I bet this little musical piece right here got him going. I want to talk to you about the specific ones later because there were a few in this movie that I was like trying to predict and be like, this is one that Jared would be like, oh, like it combined with the moment and stuff. Like
I liked the drum one that you guys both didn't like.
That's
oh
true.
yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I thought that was a cool feel. Like
There was one that reminded me of the Mandalorian. It was all tribal sounding, and I was like, "Oh man, Jared's probably into this part." I think that's the part you're talking about, actually. Yeah, yeah. But I like it. I like this channel a lot. I think this is so fun because we
yeah,
just
it
like
is. It's fun. I love talking
I don't
about
know.
movies. So,
I'm done.
all right, we are out. We will catch you guys next week. All right, you guys have a good one.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
Bye, chat.